Guys, I want to review this espresso machine. This is a Gaggia Brera super automatic machine, and I'm going to go into all the details of how this works. And this video is not just for coffee connoisseurs or hobbyists who love their coffee and have a passion for coffee. If nothing else, it's an informative video for people who just didn't know about this kind of stuff. This is new to me. I knew that I wanted to indulge into the whole world of espresso, and as well as different milk-based coffee drinks. I've always been a coffee fan. Ever since I was about 10 years old, I like coffee. Of course, I've gone through different phases. As a 10-year-old, I loved coffee like I guess most 10-year-olds do, if you do drink coffee, and that's pretty much a whole lot of milk and sugar with a little bit of coffee in it. It's more like a candy milkshake than anything else. But I remember taking a trip with my grandfather, and he drank his coffee black, and he refused to ever prepare it the way I wanted it, so I got used to drinking black coffee on my trip. And I came back, I never went back. I preferred black coffee. Just very simple. I wanted the quality bean and quality coffee to drink and not drown that out by sugar and cream. But these days I wanted, like I said, I wanted to experiment. I kind of got into the whole Starbucks thing, and I mean, not that I personally go, but learning and reading and hearing about people's experiences with different coffee houses and baristas and this, that, and the other thing, and it got interesting. And I thought, well, what's the big deal? I've never had a cappuccino. I've never had a latte. I've never had a macchiato. I never had any of these things, didn't know what they were, and I wanted to learn more about them. And as you guys should probably know by now, when I get into a hobby, I dive in head first. And so I knew I was going to get an espresso machine to try out, and I wanted to learn everything about it. And in doing research, I found a bunch of different companies, of course, that offer them. But there's one specific company that stood out to me in a lot of different ways. And before I really get into the review, I want to talk about that company in general. And they are Whole Latte Love. That's where I got this specific machine. That's where I got the coffee you see on the left-hand side, even the mugs that are on the cup warmer on top of the machine. This company, first of all, their website layout was by far superior to any other website. And in fact, I think it's a great format that I think any company can go by. When you go to their website, everything is categorized so perfectly and so conveniently. It's a pleasure to look through, and I've literally spent probably 2 or 3 hours looking at all their products because it's so easy to use. I really wish that other knife companies and even gun-related stuff and all kinds of things that I'm interested in, all my different hobbies, outdoor gear, any kind of company that I'm going to be buying a product from, I wish it was set up in a very similar manner to Whole Latte Love. And when you click on a product, the drop-down menus, they obviously have user feedback with reviews, but the details they give you, not only on the product, but even comparing it to other similar products you may like, having an actual chart that's showing you the differences and the pros and cons of different things. It's just a fantastic layout. I can literally make a 20-minute video just talking about their website, but more specifically, the people who work there. I did find that they had a YouTube channel. In fact, I dropped down one of their products I was looking at, and on the bottom was a video. I started playing it, and I looked at the corner, and I saw his YouTube video, and I'm like, oh cool, and I double-clicked on the YouTube icon, and it brought me to their page, and I saw they had dozens and dozens of videos on different products that they offer. Again, extremely professionally done, but the people, you can really tell that their staff knows what they're talking about, first of all. All right, when you're selling a product, you have to know that product, not just because you read a book on it, or a pamphlet, or you took a class. You have to know the product because you use them. It's like anything else. You trust the people who actually use the products they sell. I had called them on the phone to get some more information about a product I was interested in, and I talked to both Morgan as well as Tracy, and they were really the friendliest people in the world, very welcoming and warm, and of course answered all my questions that I had. I fell in love with the idea of this company and everything they stand for. So anyway, I just want to say that I really wish that other companies they're very ideal. As far as business goes. It's not just business. These are people who use these things every single day. They're down to earth. They're people just like you and me. And it's really, really fun to relate to the people you're actually buying products from. Like I said, I can go on for 20 minutes just talking about the website and the people. I'm just a huge fan. And I can promise you that if I need anything coffee related, even remotely coffee related or tea related, they are my go-to company. Just extremely happy with them. But anyway, yes, on to the actual review here. Yes, this is a Gaggia Brera. Gaggia is the brand of the machine, and the Brera is the specific model. Gaggia, like many other companies, have many different models. The pros of this specific model, the biggest attributes of this is that it's size, pretty much. Okay, this is 12 inches tall. There's a standard ruler here. All right. A lot of these super automatic machines tend to be a little bit bigger. The pro with this machine is, first of all, affordability is definitely on the cheaper side. Now, when I first did a little preview of this video, people, of course, immediately, very interested, look it up, and they go, wow, it's $674.25. And they go, wow, I probably wouldn't spend that much on a coffee machine. Well, this isn't a coffee machine. In fact, this being a super automatic espresso machine and the quality that it does have, that is a fantastic price. It is on sale currently on the website. The MSRP is $800. Now, I know for a lot of people, if you're just an average person who has a $10 coffee machine and just makes straight black coffee or whatever, that seems ridiculous. But you have to put things in perspective. Just to give you an idea, other super automatic espresso machines can range anywhere from $400 to $3,200. Okay, when you go into some of the big company machines, they make 3 espressos at a time. You're talking up to $16,000 for an espresso machine. So believe it or not, this is definitely on the more affordable side. And like anything else, it's specific to someone who wants that quality or convenience. This machine is pretty much a great benefit to anyone who ends up visiting places like Starbucks or their local coffee houses or baristas. And you're paying $6, $7 for a specialty cup of coffee. And you're talking about people who do this daily, if not multiple times every single day. You easily spend thousands of dollars on coffee already, so investing $500 or $600 into a machine like this, believe it or not, is a huge, huge money saver. But like anything else, it's not for everyone. If I do a review on a $400 knife, not everyone's going to be interested. It really is no difference. You have to put in perspective. But as far as what this machine has to offer, you get a lot of bang for your buck. Now, what is a super automatic espresso machine? There's a lot of different ways you can make espresso, and this is literally the most convenient way. A super automatic is kind of like what it suggests. It does everything for you. It's totally automated. This is what's referred to as a bean to cup machine. You put fresh roasted whole coffee beans in the top, turn it on, push a button, and you have fresh roasted espresso. And of course, you can use that to make a multitude of drinks. And yes, you can make regular old black coffee. And now, towards the end of the review, I will tell you why I really prefer this machine over just the standard traditional drip coffee style. And it's basically how it's brewed. It really, you can take the exact same coffee and prepare it in 4 different machines, or by hand, and get 4 different flavors. So we'll talk more about that later in the review. Now, of course, with any machine or specifically any product, there's going to be pros and cons. Nothing's perfect. Where this really shines, I think, is it's the fact that it's so compact. Okay, this is only 12 inches high. All right, and about 12¼ inches to the very highest point of the machine, which is the lid for the bean hopper on the back. A lot of people have a limited height in their kitchen because of their cabinets. Now, if I put the camera up, you'll see that I still have some excess room on top here, so size isn't a huge issue. I still like the fact that it's very compact here. Price is an issue. Okay, there's a lot of different factors, and people pick different machines for different reasons. Does the $500 machine make coffee just as good as the $3,200 machine? In most cases, yes. It really just depends. I think personally that it comes back to whatever coffee beans you're putting into it. If you have a quality coffee bean, the machine plays a little part in how it's going to taste. However, this machine is still extremely capable, and I think would make just as good of a cup of coffee or a shot of espresso just as much as the $2,000 machine or the $1,500 machine or anything else. But the pros in the machine, on this specific machine, are very great. The biggest one obviously is size. A lot of people do have that limited counter space, specifically the counter height because of their cabinets being over top. But besides that, 2 features on this machine that I really, really like compared to a lot of the other machines is the fact that both the water reservoir and the drop container where your used coffee grinds, actually coffee pucks, because you'll see that later, but they both are in the front, so very easily accessible. Once I turn this machine on and push it back into the nook, I keep this in the corner of my my kitchen counter here, I don't have to touch it. I don't have to constantly move it. A lot of these different machines, your water reservoirs are on the side or even the back, and you're talking about handling your machine constantly. And every single time you move your machine, you have a possibility of damaging it. It can fall over in the sink, you can drop it off the floor, whatever. I mean, of course, you want to be careful, but it's a huge convenience, in my opinion, to have these. Everything is accessible from the front. That's it. There is a power switch on the back. It's like the master power for the machine. And then, of course, you have an on and off switch on the front. This is a money-saving machine as opposed to some of the other ones that will draw more electricity. But I do like the biggest thing for me, not only being compact, but it's also the fact that you can access both the reservoir and the kind of garbage container, I'll call it, or drop box, from the front, which is really, really nice. Some of the downsides you get because it is smaller, obviously capacity. The bean hopper on top, which I'll show you in a second, holds a maximum of 8.8 ounces of beans, and the water reservoir holds about 40 ounces of water. Now for me, in my specific use for this, which is, on an average basis, I'll probably make 1 to 2 coffee drinks a day with this machine. If you're someone who makes 8 or 9 or 10 cups of coffee, or shots of espresso or whatever, any kind of milk-based coffee drink, and you're constantly using a machine, or perhaps you constantly entertain, maybe you're in a household with 10 people in it, who knows, you'd probably want to go with something that's bigger for the sheer fact that you don't have to put water in it as often, you don't have to fill the bean hopper as often. Pretty simple things to think about there, but they might be overlooked. Definitely pros and cons and everything. The biggest con with this is the fact that it is smaller. You do have to fill the hopper and the water more often, as well as empty your dump tray there. So just something to consider. For my personal use, it doesn't really make a difference. Since I had this machine, I put fresh beans in once and I filled the water twice. Not a big deal. By the way, this does not come with it, but in the water reservoir, pull this whole thing out for you, you do have a place to put a filter if you want to put like a charcoal filter in here or something. I've been filling this machine with spring water, and it's been fine. It has not affected, in my opinion, the taste of the coffee. But if you want to use tap water, you can easily put in a filter system in that reservoir. All right. So yes, you are limited in your capacity. So basically, if you're using the machine quite often or have a high volume of use, you may want to prefer, or you may want to consider a larger machine. But for me, in my uses, I think it's absolutely perfect. I don't need the smaller space, but of course, I value my countertop space. I got all kinds of crap on my counter. So anyway, like I said, on the back is the on-off switch right next to the power plug. So once we turn this on, you'll see our power button is going to just slowly flash red. And that's normal just to continuously do that. On top here, here's where the cup warmer is. I'll bring the camera in a little bit. Show you some detail here. So let's pull the machine forward more. Move our cups for a second. Alright, now on top here on the front where the cups, you see, this is where I store these cups, these glasses. This is a cup warmer on the top. Now this is passive, meaning that there's not a specific heating element that's keeping this hot. You're not pushing a button and starting this to get it nice and warm. Being passive, basically, as your boiler inside is heating water and stuff like that, the steam that is produced by the machine, either by the steam wand or internally, it's basically rising. Heat rises, steam rises, so this does get a little bit warm. I did find that this does not get incredibly hot, so you'll never burn yourself on it, first of all. But I prefer to warm my cup, because when you're pouring your shot or having a cup of coffee, it's something I never really even thought of until I started watching some of these videos on Whole Latte Love's YouTube page, is when you're pouring hot coffee into a cold cup or even a room temperature cup, you're losing the heat of your coffee. The cup itself is immediately shocking that heated coffee and pulling the temperature down, and your coffee cools off faster. So it makes sense to warm your cup before you actually fill it with coffee. It's something really simple. I never thought of. I just never thought of that, and believe me, it makes a difference. But the point I'm trying to make here is that this passive cup warmer on top, although it does get warm, it doesn't get warm enough for my preference. So what I do is, when the machine pushes water through the steam wand to clean it, I'll fill my cup with that. Or when it does its rinse cycle, which you'll see here when you turn the machine on, after it's been off for a while, it will go through a rinse cycle. Okay, basically pump hot water through the machine to clean everything out. If there's old coffee sitting in there in the lines or something, it cleans all out, which is fantastic. What I'll do is, before I make a cup of coffee, I will fill the cup with, I'll use the cup I'm going to make the coffee in to catch that water, and therefore warming my cup. Okay, or if you want to, you can get hot water from your steam wand to fill your cup to keep it warm as well. But anyway, that's the passive cup warmer. A lot of these super automatics will have some form of a cup warmer. Some of the bigger ones and or more expensive ones have a specific heating unit that's made just to heat that, okay, whether it's electronic or from the boiler itself. But on top here, we have our bean hopper. All right, there's a lid for it with a rubber seal on it, so it keeps all the air out of your beans so they keep nice and fresh. All right, like I said, it holds up to 8.8 ounces in here. What I'm using, the coffee I've been using lately is this, it's actually from Whole Latte Love. They have their own, a couple different coffees, but this is the Buzzopolis, and it's a dark roast whole espresso beans. And this is really, really good coffee. I don't know if it's specifically because the coffee beans are so good, or the fact that I've never had like a pressure brewed cup of coffee, or espresso or anything like that. But it is, the flavors that I'm getting out of this coffee are off the charts. It's phenomenal. It's really, really delicious. This specific coffee, you actually get a very slight kind of smokiness and a slight berry flavor. And I actually prefer to make espresso shots with this specific coffee. And when I'm making like just a longo or a long cup of coffee, traditional black coffee, whatever, I'll actually use a different bean. And I've used ground coffee as well. I always keep ground coffee on hand. Just really cheap. I think this is, I think it's Maxwell House or something. Just some cheap, whatever, pre-ground coffee. And they have a bypass doser here you can put grinds in, which is a really big beneficial feature. I think pretty much every super automatic espresso machine has this option. So if you don't have access to whole coffee beans, or perhaps you don't want to spend the money on whole coffee beans, tend to be more expensive, you have pre-ground coffee, whether it's really high-end or really cheap, crappy coffee. Either way, you can directly put this in here, and it comes with its own scoop. The machine comes with this plastic scoop you see right there, and it's the exact dose you want for a for this specific machine. And basically, you don't have to even touch the lid. When the lid's on, you have access to this bypass doser, and you put your grinds right in there. Now you can put your grinds in there to make regular coffee. You can do anything with that, but basically you have the option to not grind fresh beans, okay, and to just use ground coffee, pre-ground coffee. The biggest benefit to this is if perhaps someone doesn't like the coffee you have in here, or the big example, you see a lot of them talk about is decaf. You have some kind of I don't know, entertaining situation, and someone doesn't drink regular coffee, they drink decaf. Or you have a flavored coffee bean or something, and they don't, or let's say you have a regular coffee bean, they want a flavored coffee. All you have to do is open this lid here, which is accessible from the top of the machine, pour in your pre-ground coffee, and you can make just that. It's just completely separate from this. Now, the super automatics, they grind your coffee as well. I'm just gonna turn the machine on for a second here and put the cup in. So while I'm talking, you can go through that rinse cycle. Push it back so you can see that as well. Yes, all the super automatics will have their own built-in grinder. That's bean to cup. It's doing everything for you. So you actually have a coffee grinder within the machine itself, which is fantastic. And what happens is when it goes on, it vibrates and pulls all the beans down in there and grinds exactly what you need for one brewing process. All right, and every single time you brew, it grinds fresh coffee beans. So right now it's doing like the pre-brew wash. And it's going to push some hot water through the system. And again, it's just cleaning it out right now, which I think is awesome. You don't want old residual coffee, in your new cup. Put this lid back on. Oh, actually, you know what? Something else I want to show in here. Pull this back forward. When you're grinding your coffee, you have an adjustment knob here for your grinds. All right, there's 5 different adjustments, and basically this is how fine your coffee grinds are. When you're making espresso, you want a really fine setting. Okay, so when the hot water is pushed through your grinds, the finer it is, the more flavor you're really picking up on that. It's very kind of condensed flavor. If you're making a traditional cup of coffee, regular old coffee, whether it's black or you put cream and sugar in or whatever, while the grinder's on, that's when you adjust this, and you basically rotate this to a higher or a bigger circle. I don't know if you can see those on there. But basically that's, showing you that it's a, the grind setting. So there's 5 different grind settings on this. And if I'm making a regular cup of coffee, I will, as it's starting to grind, I'll turn that over and it'll basically open up where it's grinding, and it'll grind a coarser grind, okay? So, put this back on here. Now, I'm going to, of course I'll demonstrate and I'll show you. I want to make a shot of espresso first, just to show you what it's like. Let me get rid of this hot water. Now in the front here, where the coffee dispenses out, there is an adjustment. Pull on both sides. This will raise and lower the spout where it's actually coming out. So if you have a smaller cup here, let's say this cup, you just want a shot of espresso or something, it basically, you can adjust this down to prevent some splashing. I found that I haven't used this, honestly. Since I've had the machine, I've had it up the entire time to accommodate larger cups. And believe it or not, this will accommodate a fairly large mug. Alright, here's one of my favorite pottery barn mugs. And fits perfectly under there. So, you know, when I want to make a long coffee or something, or even if I'm making a latte, I'll use something like this. But that's what that's for, is to minimize your splashing. But I found that even like that, it doesn't really splash. But if you wanted to, you can pull it all the way down. If you had a much smaller cup for your shot of espresso, you can do that. So that does adjust. So anyway, let me talk about this drip tray real quick. Everything rests on here. This is your drip tray, which is pretty straightforward. In case you make a mess or whatever, it's not going on your countertop. It's catching any residual splash or anything like that. Particularly when you're using the steam wand. Once you take it, you know, whatever container you're steaming your milk in or frothing your milk, when you take it away, it might drip or whatever. So you can angle it back here. Of course, if you pull this away, your cup, you know, after you pull your shot of espresso and it drips down or whatever, it's not going on your countertop. But I like this. It's very easily removable. Pretty much all these machines, the same thing. All things slides out. In this specific case, it's a plastic drip tray, and it has a metal insert on top. I lift this up. You'll see it's very easy to clean. Just wash it in the sink. What's pretty cool about this too is that there's a little plastic piece in here that floats. All right, and it pushes up. And obviously, you can see it's like a bright international reddish orange color. So basically, as you're going through the process of using the machine, this will slowly push up and up and up as it gets filled up to let you know that it's time to empty your tray. And it holds quite a bit of water. You can see it goes all the way in the back of the machine there. So, the whole thing just pushes right in. Alright, so first I want to show you, I'm just going to brew a shot of espresso to show you the motions here and show you the buttons and stuff like that. So I'm going to put my little mug under there. Let's pull this forward so you can get a better look at it. So once you turn it on, like I said, when you turn on the power switch on the back there, this front will be flashing red. Once you push it, the machine's on. When you push it off again, it just goes back into a power save mode. Okay, let's turn it back on. A bunch of different icons here. They're very straightforward. They use, obviously the pictures represent what it is. Basically 4 buttons on the front here, your control buttons. The power one, which I already showed you. Underneath it, there's a coffee bean and a little scoop. Now when you cycle through here, you basically have 4 options, okay? The first option here is a little 1 bean. All right, the second one's 2 beans, the third one's 3 beans, and the last one is that little scoop. This is going to be your, you know, how powerful your coffee is, how strong it is. 1 being, you know, weaker coffee, 2 being a medium roast, and 3 being basically a bolder or darker, stronger roast. All right, excuse me, not roast, actually your shot. So when you change the amount of beans, you're changing the amount of coffee it's grinding. Okay, if you want a lighter coffee, it's not going to grind as much. You go on 3 beans, it's going to grind the maximum for that specific shot. I found I happen to prefer really strong coffee, so I always stay at 3 beans. What's pretty cool is that when you go to that 4th option, it goes to the little scoop, and that's when you use your bypass doser on top. If you're putting pre-grounds in there or pre-ground coffee, you put it directly in there, and then you want to make sure you're on your scoop so it knows to pull it from there as opposed to grinding. As far as the grinder inside this machine, it's pretty quiet. I have a Keurig, actually it's right here. I still use it. It's still an awesome machine, but nothing like this. That thing's pretty loud. I have the first generation one, and when that thing's going, it is screaming. In the morning, it wakes me up. With this machine, with the grinder on, it's pretty quiet. It's not dead silent, but it's not rumbling or anything like that. Even though it's vibrating in there, it's pretty contained and pretty quiet. So yes, I'm going to go to 3 beans for the strongest coffee, or the most grinds available. And then you have 2 buttons on the left here. The top button is showing, let me zoom in here so you can see it's a little better. The top button is showing a like a half-filled cup, and then the bottom one's a more filled cup. You can easily program these. It's really easy to program. Basically, when you get your machine new, when you or at any point you can program these and change the, you know, how it's programmed. Basically, you push and hold the button down. You hold it down the entire time. It's going to first grind your beans, then you know, fill up. It's going to tamp inside, which is basically compressing the coffee grounds, and then it's going to start brewing. You hold this down the entire time, okay? Once it starts brewing your shot inside, you let go when that's enough, and it will always remember that exact amount. Not how much you're grinding, but it's going to remember exactly how much coffee it's actually dispensing into your glass. So what I've done is I programmed this to basically be 1 shot, or what I would consider 1 shot of espresso. And then on the bottom button, it's the same thing. You can program whatever you want, but for this one, I programmed it for my specific mug. So when I push this, it'll brew coffee until that specific mug is filled to where I want it. Really, really simple, really straightforward. At any time at all, I can push and hold that, and I can actually, reprogram it. It's really, really simple. I love that feature. Now, at any point in time, if you push this button once, it'll show just the 1 cup here, and it'll brew your 1 shot. If I push it twice, it'll show the double cup, and basically has 2 shots. What's cool about this is that if it does 2 shots, it'll go through the entire process again and grind fresh beans. It won't put hot water through those already used beans, okay? So if I do 2 shots or even 2 cups of coffee, it'll go through the whole process twice, all right? So if I happen to have company or something, or if I happen to want 2 cups back to back as fast as I can, I would just double hit the button. That's pretty much it for the buttons on the front here. Then you have this kind of a knob. Now you have 3 positions. Right now it's just on the upright position, which it has to be in to brew your coffee. To the left, or turn this to the left, which I'll show you in a couple minutes, it'll go to the steam option, and to the right will be hot water. You can dispense hot water with this machine if you're making a cup of tea or doing whatever. Like I said, if I wanted to just put some hot water in my cup to warm it, I can do that. So it does just dispense water. So I'm going to, let's just make 1 shot of espresso real quick and take a little sip and try it, and just to show you how it works. And then after that, I will make a milk-based drink, so you can see how the steam one works. So, by the way, at any point in time, if you're out of water or if your garbage container is filled up with grinds, you will have a blinking light, the appropriate light that'll come up either on the top or the right, and just letting you know what the deal is. All right, so it's very good about letting you know if something's wrong, so it's not going to go through a cycle and then you're going to run out of water or something. It'll let you know in advance. As you saw before, it's really easy. You just pull these containers out. Now when they're out, you'll also get that same warning light. So if I'm out of water, or if this container is not properly seated in, I'll have that warning light. All right, same thing on the other side. The garbage, the warning light comes up here, which shows a little bucket with like pucks in it. And once I brew a cup here, I will show you what the coffee grinds look like as well. Really easy to clean up. So anyway, put my mug under there. I'm using a clear one. These are really cool Italian mugs, or glasses I should say. I got these as well from Whole Latte Love. And these little metal rings pop off, so it's easy for cleaning. But it's kind of a traditional Italian espresso mug. It's pretty cool. I like it. So anyway, alright, so power's on. All I have to do, this is preset for 1 shot. So I'm going to push this button. I already selected how strong I want my coffee. It's 3 beans. So I'm pushing the button once, and I'll go through the process. As things are happening, I'll tell you what's going on. So first, grinding our beans. Pulling the appropriate amount of beans down into the grinder. What you're hearing now is a pre-soak. What it does is this noise right there. It's wetting my grinds first, so that when it brews through, it's already prepped. It's better for brewing. Zoom in on that. You can see there's 2. It dispenses out of 2 holes. This is pretty common for any espresso machine to pump out of 2 holes here. So what you can do is you can actually put 2 glasses side by side. All right, so that it's actually brewing into 2 glasses at the same time. Whether you're doing 2 shots or whatever you want to do, it'll pretty much every machine, whether it's super automatic or semi-automatic, it will have 2 spouts that it's actually brewing out of. So that's pretty much it. I have a shot of espresso. You can see the crema, which is on top. Basically, when you're making espresso, and this is for people who just don't know anything about it at all, and this, again, it's all new to me, the difference between regular coffee and espresso is pressure brewed through finer grinds, okay? So what's happening is you're putting pressure on that water and pushing it through the grinds, as opposed to a drip style coffee, your regular old coffee pot, where basically gravity is pulling the water down through coarser grinds. And what happens is, as it's pushing through, it's almost like it comes out in like a froth. It doesn't come out like a liquid, it comes out like a froth or a foam. And the foam that settles on top is known as the crema. And it's very sought after to have a very rich, thick, creamy crema. It's where a lot of the oils collect from the coffee beans. It's extremely flavorful. So this is what I just have it set for 1 shot. It's a little bit of a heavy shot. Most people would have it set for a little bit less. But you can see nice, rich, foamy crema on top. Alright, and as it's actually brewing, you can see it kind of settling. It's actually fun to watch. Maybe I'm easily amused, but anyway, let me take a little sip of this. Extremely rich, delicious. I mean, I've never had espresso before I got this machine. Never, like I said, been to Starbucks and all these different places and you know, had these specialty coffee drinks, but it's phenomenal. Someone who, for the last 5 years, have been drinking black coffee, you know, cheap old black coffee. It's a big difference. The flavor you get from this is outstanding. This specific coffee, like I said, the Bazzapolis, can't talk. Very rich. I do prefer it straight as opposed to the mixed drinks and stuff where you make lattes, because I don't know, there's just so much flavor. I hate to drown it out. I would give the comparison: you use Jack Daniels to make a Jack and Coke. You don't necessarily want to mix a really expensive high-end single malt Scotch with Coca-Cola. This has so much flavor in it as it is. I'd hate to add milk to it. Now, not that it's a big deal or anything, but I actually prefer Illy. I've been using a lot of Illy coffee as well as Lavazza lately and trying different drinks, and just awesome. But this Bazzapolis is fantastic just as is, just straight. Now, if you wanted to make a Americana, which from what I understand is basically a shot of espresso with hot water in it. So let's say make espresso and it's a little strong for you, or you just don't, you know, it's too much, and it's delicious. All you want to do is add hot water to it, and that would be an Americano. So what I'm going to do is, just for demonstration purposes here, I'm going to switch this over to the water. All right, I'm just going to dispense hot water into my cup. Now that first little bit was basically the cleaning of it, but since it's hot water I'll just throw it in my cup anyway. And there we go. So now I basically thinned out my shot of espresso into a less strong coffee drink, an Americano. I'm still getting a lot of that flavor, but it's definitely dulled out. I make longos, which basically is pulling a shot of espresso, but continuously pulling water through it, and it thins it out. It's very similar to this, an Americano and a longo, or a long coffee, but the flavors, believe it or not, are different depending on how you brew it. But this is a great method for just morning coffee. If you don't want something like an espresso, you just want a regular black cup of coffee, or want to add a little cream or sugar, you know, standard coffee stuff. This is a great way to do it. And I'm still getting a lot of the same flavors, but it's not as concentrated. So, still absolutely delicious though. Let's see, what else can I show you? Yeah, so obviously you see the water dispensing through the steam wand. The steam wand itself, there's a rubber nub on here. It's very smooth and fluent to move around and to rotate. Very easy to use. The wand part itself on the bottom here is, it gets pretty warm, but it won't burn you or scald you. And by the way, this just pulls right off. There's a rubber, you know, 2 rubber seals here. So easy cleaning. See the tip there you get with this. Now something to note here is the front of this, there's a little pinhole. I'm going to get in close and show you this. That little pinhole right there. Very important if you get any machine to make sure, if you have something similar to this frothing wand, to keep that clean. Okay, when you're frothing milk, if you get milk in there and it dries up and it clogs up, it's not going to froth properly or steam properly. Basically, that's pulling in air while you're dispensing hot steam. So if you wanted to steam your milk or cream, whatever you're doing, you'd want to put this all the way down so that that's covered, and then it'll just steam it, as opposed to if this is open to the air, or pull air in and it will froth your milk. So just an important little note. What I do is I always line this hole up on the front so that I can always see that and make sure it's not clogged. Just a little tip for basically more or less for cleaning, to make sure your machine's working properly. I see some people have problems with this where it says, oh, it's not really, not this specific machine, but all kinds of machines that I've been researching and stuff. They say, oh, it's not working great, and then always the problem is usually with the steam wand, they don't clean out that little hole. Let's see, what else can I do? Take a little sip here and regroup. Oh, that's good stuff. Showed you a shot of espresso. Showed you, putting some water in there, making a Americana. Let's do a milk-based drink. Let's make a cappuccino. Cappuccinos are fun to make and watch and look at, all that kind of stuff. So, I have my little pitcher here of milk. Now, something to note here is using the frothing wand. I know it's ideal to use a steel pitcher, a small steel pitcher. I mean, they're made specifically for you know, espresso machines and frothing milk and stuff like that, it's very ideal, even more so, to have a little thermometer to hook to the side of it so you can get your ideal heat. You know, when you're making drinks like this, when you're warming and frothing the milk, you want to stay within a certain range, and I believe like 160, or nothing past 160. Anything from 140 to 160 is okay. You don't want it too cold, you don't want it too hot. Once you get milk to a certain temperature, you're scalding it, you're basically burning it like anything else. It'll taste bitter and gross and stuff like that. So definitely take some finesse. I'm using this one. It was really easy to accustom myself to it. I'm still experimenting, and like I said, I don't have a proper pitcher. I've been steaming my milk and stuff in this ceramic little milk pitcher or creamer, only because it matches my pottery barn mug, so I went and got the matching thing. But yes, it's ideal to use a metal pitcher, and that's something I will get in the future to, you know, do lattes and stuff like that. So, but anyway, what I'm going to do is, let's prepare this in this other glass so you can actually see it, which will be fun. And I'm going to steam my milk right in. To make a cappuccino, I'm going to steam it right into the mug itself, so I don't need a separate pitcher for that. So I'm going to pour some milk in here. Now, for a cappuccino, it's going to be very frothy, airy milk, so it's going to rise in volume. You don't want to overfill your cup. As I'm steaming this, it's not only warming it, but it's creating lots of bubbles, and it's aerating it, so it's going to literally rise in volume. Now I want to do this until it gets to the top of here, and then I'm going to put it underneath. I'm going to brew my shot right into there, and you'll see how it kind of, it levels out. It's actually really cool. The shot of cappuccino levels out, the crema kind of stays on top, and then it creates like a line out of nowhere, and then it starts dropping where it gets more dense. It's pretty interesting and cool. But let me brew let me froth my milk first. Now, when you're making something like a latte, you'd want to brew your shot first, then froth your milk later. Something a little different. I will, once I get a metal pitcher, I'll show you that stuff in the future, because I want to get into like latte art and pouring cool little things and stuff like that. But you know, I'm a hobby man, so I love to get to that part of it as well. But anyway, basically what I do is I'm going to point this towards my drip tray first, because it's going to shoot some hot water through there. You don't want hot water in your milk. It's just going to thin it out, and it's not what you want. So I'm going to rotate this to the other side, where it's pointing at the steam. It's going to shoot out a little bit of steam here. Or excuse me, a little bit of water to clean it. Alright. I'm going to put this into my cup. Give it a second to start creating that steam. Now I want to leave the tip basically just underneath this top of the milk. I just want to create that air. You can see it's rising in volume. I'm actually going to bring this all the way in because I want to raise the heat a little bit without creating more volume, because it's at the top already. Alright. Bring that back down. Put my cup right in front of there, and brew a shot of espresso. Same thing, 3 beans. Now, I found this machine, it takes about 21 seconds to brew a shot of espresso. I think 26 seconds is perfectly ideal. The amount of time it takes the coffee or the water to go through the coffee grinds will definitely, control basically how much flavor you're getting out of that coffee. For espresso, you want to take a little bit of time. You don't want it to just shoot through right away. Alright. Take you off zoom here. And that is a perfect cup of cappuccino. So, let me get a little taste test here. That is delicious. And I have a little milk mustache, which I'm glad you can't see. It's probably embarrassing. Yes, makes perfect. I mean, the frothing is really simple to do. It does take a little bit of time to kind of hone in how to use it. Of course, me not knowing anything about this and just watching some YouTube videos and stuff. I have to say, I'm also going to link you guys to Whole Latte Love's page here on YouTube as well, because I learned I would say 80% of what I know about making these drinks and stuff from their videos. Very comprehensive, very professionally done. But like I said, warm and inviting. The people there are just fantastic, and I can go on and on about them. I've just had a really, really nice experience with them. But Anyway, that's pretty much it. There's plenty of different things you can do with this. Like I said, you can make regular old black coffee. If you're not into all this kind of stuff, or let's say you're really into this as like the man of the house, and your wife is like, not really into that. I want a regular cup of coffee. Or probably the other way around. Your wife is into having cappuccinos and lattes and stuff, and the guy's like, just give me a black cup of coffee. It's very simple. All you have to do is open your lid to your bean hopper. You would press your long coffee setting, whatever you've pre-programmed that to. Take your lid off, hit your button to start brewing. As it starts grinding, rotate your knob to a coarser grind, okay? And basically that'll put the coarser grinds in there and brew your regular cup of coffee. But there is a huge difference. Your average coffee maker, whether it's the $5 glassine, you get at Walmart, or a nicer coffee pot or machine, it's a drip style coffee. And what you're doing is you're putting coarser coffee grinds in there, okay, into your filter, whatever system you have. You're pouring hot water over it, and gravity is pulling it down through the beans, and then you have your coffee, right? With espresso, what you're doing is you're making a finer grind, okay, and you're putting all that, you're squeezing all that water through those grinds under pressure, and like I said, it's coming out as a foam or froth, and then recollecting into a liquid. It makes a huge difference. You're forcefully brewing, and you're pushing all those oils out of those beans, and the oil is the flavor. All that flavor is actually coming out. And like I said, I personally tested this where I took these coffee grinds, this Maxwell House, and I used it in my Keurig, in my little, the my K-cup thing, whatever, so you can put grinds in. I made a cup of coffee like that, drip style, regular old coffee, and it was good, it was fine. And then I made it with this machine, with the bypass doser, same grinds, same coffee, different brewing method. It tasted completely different. I picked up flavors and little, notes of flavor brewing it this way as opposed to brewing it the traditional style way. So it really makes a difference. And like I said, like anything else, first of all, this machine is not for everyone. Not everyone would want to invest the money into something like this. If you have a $10 coffee pot at home and you make black coffee and you're happy every morning drinking it, that's cool, stick with that. This is an experience though, and I think this is a big money saver for people who do quite often visit places like Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks. You're one of those people who are commuting every single morning, and you're going to Starbucks, and you have to stop on the way to work and sit in the drive-thru line or whatever you gotta do, and you're paying $6 or $7 a cup. This thing will pay itself off. Any of the machines will pay itself off. If you're interested in espresso, but you don't want something like this, I think this is one of the best things for a beginner like me, someone who doesn't really know anything about this. This does it all for me. Being that I make everything a hobby, and coffee is a hobby for me. As much as I enjoy it, I love enjoying learning about it more. Where are the beans coming from? How are they roasted? All that kind of stuff. I would enjoy a semi-automatic machine, which I'm doing more hands-on work. This does everything for you. This is, like I said, it's a bean to cup machine. You put the beans in, you press a button, or you put the coffee grinds in, you press a button. Bam, there's your coffee, or there's your espresso, or your latte, It's very straightforward. It does everything for you. That's why it's a super automatic. But if you wanted to be more hands-on, if you wanted to really, really fine-tune all of your stuff, if you're really into it as a hobby, some of the semi-automatics, they can be more expensive, they can be cheaper. It ranges. But with that, what you're doing is you're going to grind your beans separately with a separate grinder, like a dedicated coffee grinder, and then you're going to put it in your little portafilter, which is basically, it's all in this machine. I can't show you, but and you lock that in. It's kind of like what you'll see if you go to Starbucks, or these big machines that the businesses use, where they put the coffee grinds fresh into the thing, and it's the same thing. It's just doing it for you. So there's a huge convenience there. And for someone like me who doesn't really know anything about it yet, or I'm just beginning to learn about it, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. So does everything you need to do. And I'm going to show you the brain of the beast here. Let me turn it off for a second. You can see where I'm shutting it off now. It's doing another cleaning cycle. I'll let that go right into the drip tray. You can see let me put this down. There are holes directly underneath those spouts, so it doesn't splash or anything. Now on the side of the machine here, we open this up. Let me show you the grinds too. Basically, what happens is once it grinds your coffee, it's putting it into the brew group on the inside, which I'm going to show you in a second, and it's pouring it into an area, and then it's actually pushing up and it's tamping. Very similar if you're a pipe smoker, or if you happen to watch some of the pipe smoking videos I've done. When you tamp your tobacco, you're compressing it, okay? So what it's doing is it's compressing the coffee grinds so that they're not loose. You want them, you know, kind of packed together. So when the hot water is being forcefully pushed through it, it's not going to just push right through it. It actually has to, you know, pass this dense, you know, section of coffee grinds. But what happens is when it kicks it out in these little, you know, compressed pucks. All right, so they're easy to handle. It sucks all the moisture out. All right, if I were to squeeze this, it would crumble. But it's pretty easy to handle, so you're not dealing with more of a mess. But that's basically what you're grinding and compressing. All right, so using about that much coffee per shot. You're getting a heck of a lot of flavor out of it. It's really cool. This holds up to 8 pucks. I found that it dispenses probably 5 or 6, and then the light will come on. Just because of the way they shoot in there, they kind of stack on each other. Even though this will probably hold 10 or 12 of them, the sensor kicks on about 5 or 6, just for reference there. But let me show you the brainchild inside, or the brain. You open your side up here, and this is what's called the brew group. All right, see, just push over, the whole thing comes right out. This is basically, let me just shake this over the sink a little, I'm not dripping. This is the brain of the machine. This is what's doing all the work inside. All right, you can see on top here, this piece right here with the O-ring. This is what the section underneath is actually pushing up into, and that's tamping your coffee grinds. And this whole thing pops right out. As far as cleaning, you put this under your sink, you just basically rinse off the grinds in there. And then there's certain spots that are greased up on the tracks where things are moving, parts are moving. Well, that makes sense, moving parts are moving. Where parts may move, there's grease on there, so you don't really wash this thoroughly. If you did, you know, this comes with a tube of grease, all right, so you can re-grease that if you need to. But basically all you have to do is just rinse this whole brew group, let it air dry, all right, put the whole thing right back in, and you're ready to go. Just put it right in the tracks, and it locks right in. So the machine, it's fantastic. Like I said, it's totally a new experience to me. Enjoying espresso in general has been a new experience to me. But I could not have been happier with this machine. I could not have been happier with the people answering my questions. The people over at Whole Latte Love has been fantastic. The website's been very informational. Their videos are awesome. I'm just obviously a huge fan. I've been just extremely satisfied with everything involving this specific machine, this Gaggia Brera. I think it's a compromise. You know, it's for the price that it costs. It offers a lot, and for some people, unfortunately, you just won't see that. You'll look at it as, well, my coffee pot's 20 bucks. That's $700. I wouldn't pay that for a coffee pot. And that's fine. You're just not a person that would appreciate probably the coffee it produces anyway. So, you know, it's not for everyone. Just like, you know, I'm looking for an average car. I can't find myself, even if I had the money, I can't find myself paying $100,000 for a car. But hey, whatever floats your boat, you know. It's all relevant. You're getting a very high quality product out of something like this, and I'm extremely satisfied. But like I said, if this whole thing interests you, and espresso and lattes and all this stuff is like fascinating, research it. Check out their website. You can learn so much just by, you know, browsing their website or watching their videos on YouTube. It's really fascinating. I've just been extremely satisfied with their products and their website specifically. Even if you're not into you know, espresso, or if you're not interested in getting some kind of machine like this, they have everything you can possibly think of that's coffee related. And in fact, they have a regular old coffee pot with a timer that I really want, just so that when I wake up, there's a cup of coffee waiting for me. That's the only thing I would change about this machine if I could. And of course, I would add price to it and stuff like that. But it would just be a timer, so it automatically kicks on and makes it for you in the morning. But it's just awesome. I think as far as the super automatics go, it's probably one of the best ones, the best bang for your buck. Of course, when you get into the more expensive machines, you get more capacity. You don't have to fill it as often. You get a couple more options. You get, like, you know, digital display, this, that, and the other thing. But it's all preference. It's all what you're looking for in a machine. But the super automatics, like I said, for me, it would be highly recommended for a beginner as far as making espresso at home. I think it's the most straightforward. It's the cleanest way to do it. Getting a semi-automatic, although I think a semi-automatic is more fun. Actually doing the whole process, grinding your beans, putting it in a little portafilter, tamping it down yourself, doing that whole thing seems, you know, fun and ritualistic in a way, but it's definitely messier. There's definitely more things to clean. This is simple. Oh, one more thing I want to show you real quick before I go is you always want to clean your steam wand. I showed this in the preview video, and people are like, what are you doing? Obviously, when you're steaming or frothing milk, you get milk on here. You don't want this to dry up. Okay, it makes the mess, it's gross. You know, it's just not something you want to do. So, what you want to do is, let me turn my machine back on. I'm going to put this in the steam, put this over to steam. I just have a clean cloth here, a washcloth. And once this spews out a little bit of hot water or steam, I'm going to shut it back off. That's enough. And just wipe down my entire steam wand here. Okay. You want to do this each time, like I said, just so that you literally don't, you can pull the whole thing off if you want to. Make sure that little pinhole is clean. But if nothing else, you just don't want old dried milk to sit on there. It's kind of gross. But besides that, it's just for the machine itself. You don't want it to clog up. So that's pretty much it. That's the Gaggia Brera. I'm in love with the machine. It's fantastic. It makes extremely delicious espresso. I've tried everything you can make. I mean, here's the capabilities of the machine. In a nutshell, you can make regular black coffee, but you know, pressure brewed. You can make Americanas, which is the shot of espresso with water. You could just dispense water for tea, you know, tea drinks, or if you just wanted, you know, if you had some kind of drink mix and you wanted to make it hot, obviously hot water for that. You can make cappuccinos, you can make lattes, you can make delicious hot chocolate with this machine. And trust me, I'll do a video in the future making a hot chocolate, you know, around Christmas time. All you really want to do is just froth some milk, put some chocolate syrup in there, and bam, you're done. Probably the best hot chocolate you ever have in your life. Or even better, melt some real chocolate. That's pretty much it, guys. I'm going to put a bunch of links in the description box. I'll definitely link you to this specific machine so you can look at the specs and the layout of the website and stuff. But besides that, I'm also going to link you to Whole Latte Love's YouTube page because it's extremely informative. You know, I learned so much, and every single time I watch a video, you know, like sometimes you watch videos on YouTube and then when you're done, you're like, I want that. It doesn't matter. It could be anything. Something you never even thought of. Like this video. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there don't even think about coffee, and now you want one of these things. That's how I feel sometimes watching videos. Every single time I watch a Whole Latte Love video on YouTube, whatever they're showing, I want. It's the way they present it. Like I said, they're wonderful people, but very professional in their videos. And when I made my preview video, a lot of people said, oh, you know, it's not really your style. You know, like you're doing great editing and stuff. I usually don't do a whole lot of editing, but I kind of want to get the same feel. I'm envious of their video production. It's very professionally done and pretty cool. So I want to kind of mimic that in the preview or teaser of this machine. And yes, I know the videos, the music's a little goofy in there. As I said in the comments, it's free play music, so it's copyright free. So what are you gonna do? You know, I'd rather have some Led Zeppelin or something playing, but it doesn't really fit the video anyway. So that's all. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions about anything at all, feel free to ask, of course. Some questions, more technical questions, might be more appropriate for them. Whole Latte Love. By the way, very catchy name. Whole Latte Love. I'm in love. I'm in love with their company, their people, and their products. So I'm sold. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you soon. Take care. Guys.